Welcome to Sacred Union free webinar. Today we're going to go through all of the different areas of what the next class is going to be on, and the class actually spans 3 days. So you're going to get a little bit of each of the sections, but not the deep dives that would occur within each of those classes. However, the guide that you received for today does contain information from the entire class, as well as this session today. And anybody that showed up to this session will also get the handout that goes along with it. So there's a participation handout, which goes over the key summary of what we talk about. It also has a mantra, an embodiment practice, and journal reflections so that you can integrate what you're learning today. And the reason why I jumped on this so quickly is because I had spoken about it in conversation during one of my lives about putting on a Sacred Union event. And it's something I've been thinking about doing for quite some time. And I decided to check into the celestial, the planetary alignments. And when I checked in, this was absolutely the perfect time to launch and do the course. So it didn't really give a lot of time to run before, like with all the advertising or doing all the setup and stuff. But I'm very happy with what I pulled together in the time that I did. And I'm pretty certain that you're going to leave quite satisfied with the information that you receive and, the handouts and everything. So we're going to talk about the class today, and I'm going to open the session with some sweetgrass. I'm just going to do a little smudge with the sweetgrass. I am going to light a candle, or not a candle, sorry, I'm going to light an incense stick. And this one here that I'm lighting, I'll talk about it when I do and the purpose of why I chose that particular stick. I do have as well some crystals in front of me. I have rose quartz. I also have green jade. I have selenite, and for my own protection, I always have black onyx and stuff in front of me, between me and my computer, especially when I'm doing lives or events, just as a protection mechanism. So we're just opening the circle with the sage, with the sweetgrass. And I chose sweetgrass because of its link with femininity, and it's really powerful for opening a sacred circle. And I felt called to use that. Now, when it comes to the incense that I chose is Uriel, and Archangel Uriel is about inner strength. So your inner light. And I felt that this was beautiful when we're talking about awakening. And it's not even awakening the divine feminine, but we're going to get into that because the divine feminine's not really sleeping. So we're not really awakening her. But we'll get into that in just a moment. Let me light this and get started. And to share just a little insider thing, there's a reason why I chose to do the incense, and that's because recently I've had a habit of not blowing out the candles after I'm done using them. And I recently left a candle going for 24 hours. I kid you not, maybe not full 24 hours, but it was definitely overnight. And it's lucky that the candle, the wick is so tiny, and it was just a bare flicker, and that's why I didn't remember after I was done my event that I had lit it in the beginning, and there's no light source coming from it to indicate that it was still going, so I didn't even clue in until the next day when I walked over and saw the little tiny little flame inside the pool of liquid. So I put myself on a bit of a timeout for candles, just to say the least. Don't need to have any misadventures while my mom's not here. All right, so we have this stage set, and it's all about creating sacred space, and that's what I'm doing with the crystals, with the incense, with the herbs, and with presence as well. So sometimes part of that will involve anointing. Sometimes it can involve chanting or toning. And the other thing that I like to do in preparation is sit down and meditate a little bit before and call in the presence of my oversoul. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the language that I use oversoul instead of higher self, The reason why is higher self has a hierarchy to it, that it's, you know, that it's above you, or that it's in that way. The oversoul, the reason why I like that better, or why it's more applicable, is because it's the overarching soul that is that exists beyond all the fragmentation, all the timelines, all the dimensions, all of that. It is the overarching all of you. So that's how I look at the terms, and language matters. And that's something that I also really teach when I'm teaching, is to pay attention to language, and make sure that we're using the accurate language, and that we're also, you know, using the right words, because words have frequency and tone, and it's powerful, right? There's power behind words. Okay, so this is a beautiful class. It is called Sacred Union, the Flame That Was Never Broken. And I channeled this, and it comes from the Akashic Records and the Celestial Archives as well. So I'm really delighted to bring this. So the whole purpose of this class is to restore your divine remembrance of the original Sacred Union template before there was distortion, fragmentation, or false matrices. Right. And it's not just about, and when we say matrices, that can kind of come across as matriarchal. And that's not what I mean by matrices. I mean more like matrix, with that word. So just to clarify that. And the matrices that we're in, or the matrix that we're in currently, at least the biggest overarching matrix, is definitely a patriarchal system. And there's been a lot of distortion and suppression, especially of the divine feminine, but even the divine masculine has been distorted. And we're going to talk about that stuff today. So this is a live reawakening of your crysted solar lunar harmonics through voice, movement, and divine light. So I'm looking forward to this. All right, so let's begin with our opening transmission. Beloved flame, in this sacred space, you're not here to find union, you are here to remember it. Before the betrayals, before the stories, before the splitting of form and formless, there was a singular radiance. The flame that knew itself in both stillness and motion, masculine and feminine, not as roles, but as breath and blood, light and rhythm, clarity and grace. This is not a healing. This is a homecoming. The pain, the loss, the seeking, the separation, they're all illusions cast upon the original flame. And so, in this moment, let the betrayal templates dissolve into starlight. Let the grief become a river of remembrance. Let every false vow, every karmic imprint, every inversion tethering you to the story of separation, let it be released. Okay, take a breath. Now call in your oversoul. And as you call in your oversoul, you're going to see a light descend from above. And where it settles in is into your skull and your skeleton, like into your spine, skeleton, your spine, into your spine. And allow that beautiful, pure white light of your oversoul to settle right into your spine and your nervous system. Take a breath and call your oversoul's lunar portion. So when we called in the first part to the spine, that is your oversoul's solar ray. That's why I had it being such a beautiful golden white. Now we're going to call in your oversoul's lunar tone into your womb or hara. So you're bringing it all the way down into your lower belly. Now we're going to take a breath and we're going to call in the flame that was never broken. And when we call this in, this is going to come into the chest. It's going to come back into your life, back into your voice. You are not waiting for the beloved. You are the living gate through which the beloved returns. Let this field now be sealed in the eternal flame light. See this golden rose diamond weaving through your field. dissolving the false and remembering the true. So it is, so it has always been. All right, let's talk about the original divine union blueprint. The sacred union blueprint is not a myth, nor a dream. It is a living architecture encoded within your oversoul's memory, prior to earth, prior to polarity, prior to pain. At its highest frequency, or its highest harmonic, union is a frequency of divine reciprocity, where giving and receiving are indistinguishable. And this is a point. Some of these things, when I'm channeling them, there's a beauty to the words that are used, and what it means behind them. When you think about giving and receiving being indistinguishable, can you imagine giving so purely from your soul that you are receiving, and at the end of it, that you are receiving so much through the process of giving that it feels that you're receiving even when you are giving? That is just such a beautiful space to be in. It's also a state of soul co-resonance, not based on role or form, but shared service to prime source. When we within ourselves marry the masculine and the feminine, and embody our role, which as Christic beings, we are meant to embody the Christic way. And I mean this outside of religion. This is in a spiritual context. This is in the truth outside of dogma and religion and rhetoric and all the other stuff that we've been sold. And we are divine beings having a human experience, or we're a spiritual being having a physical experience, if you want to look at it from that aspect. And it's remembering our connection to prime source, which is what I like to use as the word for God, but I also do use the word God. Use what you wish to use in that place. The reason why I choose these words is because language matters, and also because the word God and Yahweh and other terms have been distorted. They have been manipulated and twisted with society. And so when we are looking at the word God, it can sometimes reference something that we're not really aware is referencing. So that to me is just my clarity. It's my discernment to say prime source. And when I say God, I know I mean prime source, not any other God, but the true God. So that's just another point on language. It's also at its highest harmonic union is a geometric alignment where the solar and lunar currents braid into one flame. So as we did there, where we brought our oversoul in through the solar flame and then grounded it into the lunar flame and to create the living flame. So it is that combination of those two energies, or those two currents, if you would like to refer to it as that way. The other thing is a sacred responsibility to hold, guard, and to emanate love that liberates, because love is not meant to be a cage. It's not meant to control. It's not meant to trap. It's not meant to coerce, to have power over, right? It should be a very liberating love. So in this space, the feminine is not distorted into passive waiting or manipulative seduction. And think about how much that divine feminine archetype has been transformed and changed into a space of being submissive or hypersexual, right? It's either they have contorted the woman to be submissive, weak, less than, taken from, most religious texts. The divine feminine has been either completely redacted or at least partially redacted. There's bare mention of her in the Quran. There is bare mention of her in the Torah. And again, we know how much of her is in the Bible. We know that that Mary Magdalene's story has been removed. Even the Sophianic lineage and teachings has been redacted, or at least minimized. There's a lot of suppression in that. And so the other part on that side of the suppressive part is on the other end of things, where it's being distorted and So we went into comparison and competition with the masculine energy, and then turned into hyper femininity, into, you know, toxic masculinity, and even toxic femininity characteristics are being adopted through society, and that's just the distortion that occurs. So that's not our truth, though. That's not the truth of the feminine energy or the masculine energy. When we look at the masculine energy, it is not twisted into saviorhood or power hoarding. So we have masculine energy where the man is, you know, powerful, and, you know, your alpha male. He's like, you know, he's going to protect you and provide for you, and, you know, probably have a lot of being authoritative, and you know, the one in control, and, you know, the way that the masculine energy has been distorted to mean that. And the other part of masculinity is where masculines are looked at as the savior, that they are going, you know, that they are meant to, you know, protection in another way, right? They are meant to protect people and save people, and this is on their shoulders, you know, to take care of everything. And you do see men who do bear the weight of the world on their shoulders, and, you know, like, it's the way that's been distorted, right? We're meant to be a sacred union within ourselves, but also a sacred union within our partnerships as well. I'm just going to pause for a second here and take a sip of my tea, and you won't notice much on the other side of the recording, but those that are here live will. All right, we're back. I had my tea. I had to have it before it got cold. If anybody knows me, they know I like it when the tea is hot, and when it starts to get cold, I start to like it less, until it gets ice cold, and then it's good again. But so I figured I would stop and just have it while it was good, and then continue on, and I could teach without the interruption. All righty, so we were talking about how the feminine is not distorted into passive waiting or manipulative seduction, and that the masculine is not twisted into saviorhood or power hoarding. And we see that a lot, right? When we're looking at the very top of, you know, society, it's hoarding, and it's massive hoarding. And it's a very patriarchal system. So the power hoarding of the masculine energy. So here the solar current illuminates without domination, and the lunar current receives without collapse. Together they spiral upward, the Merkaba in motion, the tree in bloom. So when the original divine blueprint is reawakened in the field, past life unions and karmic lovers will surface for release, not for readmittance, for release. Trauma bonds and soul contracts lose their magnetic pull. So you can easily see that that's not in alignment with you, and that what was there before was for reasons that, you know, at that time we're serving, right? There's mirrors, and there's connections for the reasons of awakening and peeling back those layers. When we have our triggers, and, you know, someone had pointed out about using that word, and, you know, when you're looking at language, fair that we could maybe look at a different way. But what I like to think of when I'm talking about a trigger, it is something that activates a response in somebody else, and that activation of the response doesn't have to come from a person, right? Think about if you're going out of the house and you're late, and you get your purse caught on the, you know, on the door handle, and it yards you back, and, you know, like, it's just one of those things. Next thing you know, you're yelling at your door, an inanimate object, right? So it's about losing that magnetic pull. So those triggers, sorry, I had to get back to where I was. So those triggers that we have within our relationships, we are seeking them out for a purpose. And usually that purpose is to reveal to us what we like and what we don't like. So if something's causing friction, it's for you to look at that and say, what is this showing me in my life? And how, like, is it something that I am meant to grow through? Or is it showing me that this is not my alignment, so that I can say no to it? And in that case, so the body also remembers Eden, and the nervous system recalibrates to safety and stillness. So it's a really powerful thing when you remember the organic blueprint and you awaken it in your field. Again, it's reawakened, because it's not that it was never gone. It's always there. It's just you've come through the veil and you don't remember. So this is not about summoning a partner. This is about restoring the architecture through which the beloved can be received. When you marry the masculine and feminine energies and build the sacred union within yourself, then you are going to be the partner that will be receiving a person that has done the same, mirrors and reflections, right? So that's what the point of that is. And when you feel sacred balance and sacred union within yourself, you're not coming from a place of lack and needing to fulfill something that's missing. You're coming from a space of wholeness, looking for something else that is resonating at the state of wholeness. So this just helps you to be in that space. So union begins in the breath, in the voice, in the touch of your own hand upon your heart. Union begins when you stop outsourcing God to someone else, and we idolize through many, many memes, not memes, memes. It sounded very, it did sound almost like memes, but fair enough. So when we idolize things external to us, or we think of something external to us as being a savior, that is giving the power of God to that external thing. And that's going to keep us out of alignment. That is going to keep us cycling in trauma or cycling in distortions, right? We need that union within ourselves again, and God is found within. So union begins the moment you stop asking love to rescue you from yourself. Ooh. Sometimes I channel things and I just love them. Today we remember the blueprints so the body can become the temple again. I just love it. All right, so we're going to do the solar lunar embodiment practice. And after we do the solar lunar embodiment practice, we're going to talk a little bit more about, like, we're going to do some more education. And then we have another activation or a final seal and oversoul transmission. So I like to do it that way when I do my education. So you kind of know what to expect. Oftentimes a little bit of breathing or intro and breathing, and then teaching, and then activation, and then teaching, and then activation, and then you're on your way. So I like to sandwich things. All right, but first we're going to do this beautiful solar lunar channel embodiment practice. The solar lunar embodiment practice that I channeled. All right, so this ritual invites your body to remember the original sacred flow of the solar, which is the masculine, and the lunar, which is the feminine, harmonics. These channels are not only energetic, they are biological, emotional, and architectural within your light body. So we're going to start by being in a seated position, which you probably are because you're watching this recording. But you never know. Maybe you decided to take me for a run and listen to me in your ear. At any point, if you're doing this, I would hope that you stop, because you'll either sit or stand in stillness. And we're going to start to inhale slowly in through our nose, deep into our tummy, up into our chest, before exhaling nice and slow. And as we do this, feel your spine elongate. Feel yourself stand or sit taller. As you inhale, imagine golden light entering from the crown and descending into your spine. This is your solar current. Allow the opportunity to seat fully into your spine. As you exhale, imagine silver lunar light rising from the base or from the womb or hara through your spine. So from the top, the solar, from the bottom, the lunar. Allow these two currents to meet at your heart. As they meet, the lunar silver and the solar golden spiral together like a double helix. A beautiful, familiar pattern that our DNA exhibits. You're going to allow your arms to rise and fall as you breathe in and out. allowing this divine reciprocity to occur within that flame, the center of your chest. In We're going to continue this spiral breath for a few minutes, visualizing silver from the bottom, gold from the top, twisting together in a double helix in your heart space, gold and silver. And breathe at the rate that works for you. And move your arms in a way that feels appropriate, aligned. And stop moving your arms up and down and slow your breath, allowing yourself to just come back into this moment. This embodiment recalibrates the inner polarity distortions and restores the flame of sovereign balance. And you can do this practice anytime that you like. And you can also revisit the recording for the next little bit. Alrighty, when you're ready, ground into your body, wiggle your fingers and toes. Take one big breath in, let it out, and then open your eyes. Welcome back. So section 4, I wanted to talk about the false twin flame unmasking, discerning illusion from the Christic flame. So this one here, we're going to initiate a deep soul clarity around the false flame template, also known as trauma bonded soulmate, karmic lover wrapped in fantasy, and energetic mimicry disguised as sacred connection. So the important thing is to understand that there will be signals in your body that are going to alert you to the fact that the individual that is standing apart from you is a karmic or a trauma bonded soulmate, a karmic lover, or an energetic mimicry disguised as sacred connection. And these signals in your body is tightness. If you feel constriction in your body, that is a sign, no matter what it is, that that is out of alignment for you. And it can come up in any way, shape, or form, whether it's when you're going to eat something, if you feel tightness around it, if you're participating in something and you feel a constriction, if somebody asks you if you want to do something and you feel yourself tighten up. All of those are signs that that is not in alignment with you, or that there's something that you at least need to examine within that space. Fear is another thing. Your partner, your sacred union does not contain fear. Because when we are operating in the in Christic alignment, we're not scaring people. we're not operating in maliciousness. We're not operating through distortions. We're not operating through lies or, in some evil capacity. And since I said the word evil, I want to make a note very clearly right now. And this is channeled through my oversoul, the Akashic records, the celestial archives, prime source himself. Evil is not the opposite of good. Evil is the absence of godliness. And so when you become so fragmented and detached from source, you are able to do things that are evil because you have no connection to that which is divine. It's not in opposition of God, and God did not create it. It's the absence of God that led to the concepts of evil. And I just wanted to clarify that, at least that, and that is my truth. Again, you have the opportunity to discern your own truth, and I readily expect people to do that. The other thing you'll find in relationships where there is karmic, soulmate, trauma bonded soulmate stuff, or the energy mimicry, is that you will feel clinginess, or that can be one of the signs, is that there's clinginess. So if you feel, and I've had a recent interaction with that with an old friend who has indicated wanting more from me in the past, which has never been in alignment with me, re-entered into my life, and I immediately felt a clinginess from his energy, and I shut it down right away. That's not something that I need to bring into my life. So clinginess, right? And that clinging is coming from that sense of lack, that whatever is there is going to fill that space that's lacking something. And that if that thing left, that would take something away from you, that you wouldn't be okay. There's that loop that exists there. And there's also savior complexes, right? That's another red flag, is that this person is going to save you in some way. If you're operating under the concept that this person is going to save you from anything, then you are making that person basically be your God, and you're signing yourself up for potentially a trauma bonded situation, or again, energetic mimicry or karmic lover in that space. So pay attention to those signs that come up in your body and notice them. The other things you may notice are energetic signs of inversion. So a power imbalance, So previous relationship that I was in was a very toxic relationship, and the individual was prone to calling names and definitely did want to have power. So one of the things that people do to keep power over somebody is isolation, eliminating friends, or using language that has that person retract, but does so in like manipulative ways. Like, oh, if we have any disagreements, we need to deal with that with in-house, right? And you're not to talk to your friends about any problems that we have. Usually that's tied up in, like in keeping that image that they portrayed to other people. They don't want their image tarnished. And that doesn't mean that you should be going and bad mouthing partners to your friends or anything like that, right? This isn't about that. But there is an opportunity when they get you isolated in that situation, which is an example of power imbalance. When they get you isolated in that situation, you don't have a sounding board, right? It makes you easier to manipulate because you don't have your friends to cue you in when things are out of alignment, and you can sometimes like pull the wool over your own eyes in those situations. The other thing is energetic depletion. So if you're around a person and afterwards you feel depleted, or, in the time that you're spending them, you feel very tired or fatigued, or even like I said, afterwards, you feel like you need to sleep a lot. After you've been spending time with them, you come back and you're just exhausted and spent, and you need to recuperate for days. That person's an energy vampire, or there's at least they're drawing from your energy field. The other thing would be a romantic obsession as an energetic thing, right? Some of us get wrapped up in the romantic idealism of relationships, and this is seated in women, especially through fairy tales at a very young age. And that can be a powerful tool of manipulation as well. with the whole romantic stuff. So it can be, you know, we get tied up in thinking that we have, you know, we have to have a partner at all costs, and you know, like we get sold on Valentine's days and anniversaries, and you know, there's all that language and lingo out there, and we feel like we're lacking when we're seeing, you know, everybody getting married and having lives. So you have that sense of lack, and you know, you get really tied into all of those romantic the romanticism of love. And that's not the way that love's meant to be. So you need to use your discernment to ask, when you're in relationship with anybody, romantic or not, does this union bring me deeper to God? It's powerful. Powerful. Does it support my mission and embodiment? That's powerful too, right? We didn't come here, and we'll, I don't want to, I'm not going to go, look, we're going to, that'll be another education. It's too much. I'll go off on a tangent, and it'll take us a while to get back to this one. So we're just going to stay away from that. It is important that your goals that you have, and especially when we're looking at embodying what and who you are in the sense of a Christic being, a spiritual being having, you know, a physical experience. If we want to look at it that way, your soul being the heaven portion, your body being the earth, and marrying the two together to bring heaven to earth. That's the concept of it. So anything that knocks you out of the embodiment of that life, right? The life that you're meant to live, that's something that you should be saying no to. Right. And, or that's taking you off of your mission. That's something that you should identify. And the other thing is it reciprocal? Is it honoring? And is it aligned? So going through those gates. So in the sense of reciprocal, is the energy two-way? Is there giving and receiving on both sides? Or am I giving, and they're receiving? Because when we look at things like that, takers don't have limits. They'll take until you're dry. Is it honoring? So do they speak to you and honor you as the individual that you are? Do they speak to you with good language? Do they carry themselves in the way that they talk not just about you when you're there, but when you're not there? Are they safe with your heart? Are they safe with you and stuff like that? Do they honor you? Somebody that's calling you names, belittling you, putting you down, doing backhanded comments, that's not honoring you. Somebody who is cheating on you, that's not honoring you. Somebody who's lying to you, that's not honoring you. Somebody who is trying to change you to fit what they think is, what they want, not what you are, but what they want, that's not honoring you. So look into those or ask those questions. And again, is it aligned? And the more that you get in your truth, the more that you can determine what's aligned for you. All the stuff that's going on around us is just signal interruption. And for you to be clear, you need to get rid of all the things that are disrupting your signal. And, whether that's you're ingesting the wrong foods, or you're, eating a lot of toxins, wearing toxins, watching, TV news, not dealing with traumas, not working through your own personal stuff. All of those things are just further stuff that detaches you or fragments you. It's putting you out of alignment. So the more that you align yourself to your truth and to the truth of how you're meant to live, the easier that you get at discerning what is not in alignment with you. So true love frees, and sorry, I skipped one part of it. You're not abandoning anyone when you put those boundaries in. That's a key point that I want to really. You abandon yourself when you accept something that is not in alignment with you. You abandon yourself when you allow someone to push you out of your mission, or push you out of embodiment. You are not aligning with yourself you're abandoning yourself. Sorry, you're abandoning yourself when you're wearing masks and not being in your truth. So when you discern that person's not in alignment with you, and you move them out of your life to whatever degree that means, it could mean instead of being, this close to me, they're that far away. Either way, you position them where is appropriate, right? If it's your family and you're not willing to not have any relationship with them, then maybe you put it that it's, we do phone calls, we'll get together, once every 3 months, and, special holidays or something like that. And that's the level of energy that I can handle with this situation. But when you consistently overrun your discernment and what is in alignment with you, all you're doing is abandoning you. So what you want to do is be unbinding yourself from whatever wasn't true love, whatever isn't true love. So if it's not in alignment. So again, true love frees, false love feeds, and it's feeding something or someone. It's either feeding something in you that you feel is lacking, or it's feeding them something energetically. And oftentimes it's a two-way street, right? They're getting something as well as you're getting something, or they're giving something that you're also giving something. And it just may not be what you think it is. So this segment includes, the next segment that we're going to do is we're going to do a field sealing and an oversoul transmission. But before we do that, I think what I want to do is a little invocation that we can do to cut cords and stuff. I think that that would be a key thing to do here. So just let me pause it for a minute. I need to grab a glass of water because I feel my throat's getting, and then we'll do that invocation and a field sealing and yada yada. We'll finish up the rest of it. Just give me a minute. All right, I got my structured water. I'm all good. I had a sip of it. Grab another one just to make sure we got a good coated throat. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're just going to do this cord cutting invocation. So you're going to repeat after me, and you can do this out loud or silently in your head, whatever works for you. It is more powerful out loud, but that's just like, that's my preference. So, beloved oversoul, eternal flame within me, I now call forth the full remembrance of my sacred sovereignty in love. I cut all cords, bindings, and vows, spoken or unspoken, conscious or unconscious, that were formed through distortion, trauma, fantasy, or karmic repetition. I release romantic contracts no longer aligned with my truth. Echoes of longing that kept me tethered to pain. Any soul ties or mimicry energies masquerading as divine love. I call forth the complete dissolution of false twin entanglements, savior-martyr dynamics, cycles of abandonment, betrayal, or emotional collapse. Through the eternal flame that was never broken, I reclaim my field, my voice, my womb, and my timeline. I restore the throne of my heart to the oversoul beloved, the one I have always been, the one who now returns through me. Let all that is not in divine love be transmuted in grace. Let the path be cleared. Let the field be sealed, and the remembrance restored. So it is, so I am, so it shall unfold. There we go. It's a pretty good one. All right. Next, we're going to do just a small little one. One hand on your heart, one hand on your womb. You can do this one anytime that you want, and that's why I'm giving you this one. And this is to breathe deeply as the eternal flame activates within. I reclaim the flame that was never broken. I return to truth, to union, to love made whole. All right. That was our final seal. which is beautiful. All right. So the oversoul, or your oversoul, our higher selves, but in this session and in all the stuff that we've talked about and the invocations, like in the sense of doing the cord cutting and all of that stuff, your oversoul is going to give you the amount that you're ready to receive at this moment in time. It's always working in your highest alignment. And it'll never give or take anything from you that's in your alignment. It's not going to interfere with your process. And when you are doing this, in my channeling, your oversoul is going to tweak it for it to suit you, is what I'm getting at. So in the sense of like, it would create a final frequency that is unique to your field for you, even though I'm saying it in a certain way, it would encode that language to suit you. If that makes sense. And I hope that it does. All right. So that is our class on Sacred Union. That was the free class, including all the guides and invocations and stuff that we did. Now I do have an invitation, of course, I would be silly for me not to invite you to the full class. The full class is on June 9th to 11th from 7 till 8:30 p.m. each night. There is a possibility that one class might be shorter and then one class might be slightly longer, but essentially they're around an hour and a half each class. In each class, there's an activation, like a powerful activation that occurs within those classes. So the Sacred Reunion Codes class is a 3-day Christic immersion into the deepest frequencies of divine union. Together, we walk through the veil of illusion and into full cellular remembrance of the Oversoul, the one that you were never separated from. So the Oversoul beloved. And on these 3 days, you will decode the original harmonic blueprint of divine masculine and feminine union from the Oversoul level before distortion, inversion, or romantic projection. You'll release synthetic cords and soul bindings that mask themselves as love, but trap your power, time, and energy. You'll activate your union flame as a stabilizing force in the heart, womb, and voice, returning your body to Edenic memory. You will experience daily transmission rituals to restore your solar and lunar channels, unify your purpose, and embody divine reciprocity. And you will anchor planetary love architecture into your auric field and personal relationships through embodied frequency practices. And you receive sacred templates for mission-aligned union that transcends and anchors in divine service. So this path is encoded for those ready to embody union, not as a concept, but as a way of being, as the flame that you live from, lead with, and love through. So the Sacred Union's codes is the next unfolding of this remembrance. While the free class rekindled the inner flame, the immersion takes you deeper into full embodiment of that flame in every aspect of your life. This offering is pure, whole, and sovereign. No upsells, no tears, only resonance. You will know if the reunion codes is meant for you. And this invitation is offered in the same spirit as the class itself: pure remembrance, clear guidance, and cellular truth. So let's stir what it must. There's no pressure, no push, only presence. When the soul remembers, it recognizes what it is encoded for. So you will leave with a felt experience of sacred union within, the release of at least one false flame tether, tools to recalibrate inner balance and resonance, and soul level knowing of your next step in the union journey. You are not seeking the flame, you are the flame. The beloved is already within. Which is beautiful. And just to reiterate about the class just a little bit more. So each day you will get a guide that is structured for that particular day. On Monday, the 9th, we do the Venus flame, which is all about the divine feminine. On the Tuesday class is the solar flame, which is all about the divine masculine. And then it's on the 3rd day is the Sacred reunion day, and it's all about the living flame. So you get these beautiful guides, which have reflection prompts, and they have the key teachings listed out. They've got an embodiment practice, mantras. They're beautiful guides. And this course when I was pricing it, I priced it much higher than what I'm offering it for. And I did have the idea of creating tiers, but because I offered it in such a short time frame, I really had to think about what I was doing with it. And because I was doing it in such a short time frame, I decided to offer it at a discount. The other thing that I did with this, and which I will do with all events and classes that are paid classes and stuff, is that I offer them as a discount to any of the members of the membership groups in a tiered format. So if you're in the Ascension Gateway, you get 5% discount. If you're in the Guardian Pathway, which is so the Ascension Gateway is 1111, so you get a 5% discount. The Guardian Pathway and the Oracle Chamber are 2222, so you get a 10% discount from those two. And then the Still Waters and Christic Mastery Circles are 33 and 43. So you get a 15% discount from one of those two classes. And you can only get one discount, so it's the highest discount. So if you're a member of the Christic Mastery Circle, that one there is a tiered group. So you would also be a member of the Guardian Pathway and the Ascension Gateway. You don't get 5, 10, 15 and have a total of 30% discount. You just get the 15% discount from whatever the highest tier or highest membership group is that you're in. So those are available as discounts for any of the classes that we take. So the class is 88 Canadian. And then again, if you're in one of my membership programs, then you would have a discount of that. If for some reason you want to attend the class and you're not in a financial position to pay that, send me an email or connect with me in a call, and I can look at what I can offer in way of scholarship or a trade-off in some way. And then, I'm more than willing to barter. Maybe there's something you could do for me that would be handy, or maybe I'm willing to do it in the way of a great testimonial or something along those lines, like something that would benefit me in that way. It's just about a sacred energy exchange at the end of the day. All right, that's it for the free session. It was awesome hanging out with you guys. You have the recording for at least 48 hours. That's if I remember to take it down in 48 hours. And I will send the handout for today through email when I send the link to the recording. And it's also attached to the notes from this as well, which should be a part of the recording when it gets uploaded, the link for the download. All right, I'll see you on Monday.